Alrighty, let me get everything else set. Alrighty, welcome. So what we got going on for today is the Neo Geo Pocket. Now I love the Neo Geo. I love everything Neo Geo. Everything Neo Geo is fantastic. So of course it just made sense to kind of upgrade this Neo Geo Pocket for sure. The big thing here is that this is one that came pre-modded with a front light screen. And the front light screen it's not great right now. It definitely works, and it's definitely a good option if you want to keep the original screen. However, this is something that, to even just show kind of the difference here of what the front light looks like. Let's see, where are my batteries? Once I had batteries. It will look okay, but obviously the backlight is going to look a lot better. So this is how the front light looks. So you can even see it's a little, even on camera, it's hard to see. It's it's better than what is stock, but nevertheless it's not great. So we're going to be taking out that front light mod today. And I'm going to be putting in a backlight mod instead. It's going to look a lot more crisp, a lot better, and improve the playability of it. That's for sure. We're also going to do a recap as well. So we've got a lot going on. So let's get right to it. I did take off the back already. The first thing I noticed, put this under the micro as well, is that, again, I did not do this mod here, but for the front light mod, it looks like, first off, it looks like they got some glue, which we'll take off in a moment, but it looks like this is where they're grabbing the 5 volt for it and putting the resistor on. This looks like this is where they're grabbing the ground for that as well. So this is a good time to show how to take off anything that has any type of glue, any type of hot glue. And all you gotta do is is take some isopropyl alcohol and just saturate the area. And what that'll do is that'll actually take off the adhesive, which is good. And that's what you want. You want this adhesive to come off. So we'll get a better view of it. As it is interesting that these are the old mods that people used to do when there was no other option. Once you do that, once you get it nice and soaked, you should be able to simply just peel it off like that. Okay, so yep, so it looks like this goes right to this resistor right here. Okay, so that's what that mod did that we're going to be taking out. And same with this one. Looks like it just went to that ground plane on the bottom there. Okay, so when you disassemble any type of Neo Geo Pocket, you gotta pop off the joystick, which I just did there. And the Slims actually have like clips on each side, but this is not a Slim. This is the full-size one. Right now, the kits that are sold at console5.com, which is where I got this from, is only the regular size ones. So the Slims aren't in yet, but it does hint that they will be, at least they'll be out there soon. So if you have a Slim, stay tuned. So we've got 2 screws to take out before we flip it over. I have not seen what it looks like, but having done front light mods back in the day for various systems, there's probably going to be a glass, a light probably underneath, and then that's how it works. That's how a front light mod works. So I guarantee that's probably what's going to be what we're going to uncover, if you will. So let's take a peek. Well, let's keep this around in case there's any more hot glue. I'm not sure, obviously. So there's going to be a flex cable to take off the main board. Just take your fingernail and you can push down the black clips there. And then you can sort of see there. Have a flex cable, it's hard to see. And then you just pull it out. Oh. So let's check out what we got. Because definitely it seems like this case has been cut too. So, just, I guess this one requires cutting. So, the new mod requires cutting. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm just going to desolder these 2 points of the speaker right here. So we got black on the bottom, if you have it facing the correct way, red on the top, and that's just just so we can move around the motherboard better. Again, we are going to be recapping it. Not a lot of recaps, they're all SMDs as well, and in most cases you really don't have to recap Neo Geo Pockets. They're not really known for having bad caps, but we're in here anyway. We're doing this mod, so why not, right? So we're just going to desolder this just so we can essentially remove the motherboard, move it around easily from the actual front of the board. Alright, so let's see what we got. Alright, so it looks like it's just 2 wires that this person had done. So it looks like it is... Okay, so this is from the resistor from 5 volts that goes to here on the board, which is looks like the part of the ribbon cable here, and the ground is going to go over there. Okay, a whole lot of glue. So let's get to taking this out. Yeah, at this point they already cut the shell. Again, if you're going to go ahead and do this mod by putting the full screen backlight in, which we're going to be doing with the on-screen display, it's nice to do an aftermarket shell so you don't have to cut up the original shell, to cut the original plastic. However, in our case here, this case has already been cut years ago. So we're just gonna, we're gonna use this for now. because, you know, at this point you can't put the plastic back, right? So. Okay, there we go. Yep, so that's what I was talking about with the glass, with the front light mod. You can see there's like an LED strip that'll be like right along here. And of course, it'll shine up on this, between this actual screen of the Neo Geo, and of course of the actual glass there on the front. And of course with the Neo Geo screen, in this case you might not be able to see, but you know, you can see pretty clear through it as well. Pretty clear through it there. As you can see, that's the back of the screen. Alright, so we're going to continue just taking this out. The nice thing is that this mod is reversible, this person had put in. So that's good. Like I said, the only thing is, obviously, the shell's been cut, so we're gonna have to work around that too, because for ours it's expected to have these sides, and you can see that this person had already cut it, so peeling it right off. It's gonna be soaked in some nice purple alcohol. That's what I love about the retro community. It just keeps getting better and better. It's better and better. So now we have a better mod than this. And you know, for the time, this was great to play on, but we do have a better mod now. Okay. So that out of the way, we have our front shell. We can sort of see the damage here. We're gonna have to work around, but that's okay. We have to cut the bottom anyway. We also have to cut these two tabs at the top. Okay, so these tabs here, one on the left, one on the right, are gonna have to go. So like I said, it's already cut anyways, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna desolder this. It's nice because this mod does seem very, like I said, very, you know, much reversible. Just looking real quick, I don't see any of the components that were removed. So let's just get this out of the way. Oh yeah, right, this goes to here. There you go, front light mod removed. Alright, so now we can take a look at the actual board itself. So, like I said, we're going to be recapping it as well. So we just have to clear some stuff out of here. And on this board, we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, looks like about 6 caps. There you go, about 6 caps that we're going to take off. Again, you can get the cap kits from Console 5. That's where we got this cap kit here. So that's the one we're going to use. Move this out of the way. There it is. We got more than 6 caps in this kit, but so let's do it to it. Do it to it. Alrighty. Alright, so the nice thing about Luke's website, again at console5.com, is you can bring up the wiki and double check everything, make sure everything's going where it's supposed to go. So let's do that now. Bring it up on my phone. Honestly, these wikis are very, very helpful, even if you don't, you know, just for multiple reasons. It doesn't even have to be just for recapping. And for SNK, Neo Geo Pocket Color, boom, there's the kit, $295 at the time of this recording here. Fantastic. So it covers 1998, 1999s. I think we have a 98 in this one. Yeah, there we go. Let's see, is there a wiki for this? Actually doesn't seem like there's like a wiki for this, but that's okay. Because again, it should be easy to figure out which ones go where. So this is a 220 microfarad. We're gonna have 47, 100 there. Make sure we have that in the kit. Yep, and there's the 100. It's 200s. Boom, boom. There's 2 there. Do we have a 47? Yes, we do. And a 4.7 might be on the other side. Oh, so another 220 and another 100. Okay, so that 4.7 isn't even on the board. Okay. Cool. Alright. Yeah, so we got everything that we need here. So I've done SMD recaps on the channel before. It's actually, you know, great skill to have, to do, practice. So we'll start here. And what I like to do is you can either use Kapton tape to insulate the surrounding area, or of course you can use, you know, something like tinfoil. Especially in this case, because we're going to be using a hot air rework station to remove the current caps. I'm going to go ahead and cover all around, especially like around the plastic, and I want to melt the plastic at all. And this one's going to be probably the toughest. It's on the ones on this side of the board. As you can see, all I'm doing under the big camera is just going ahead and wrapping it around. Okay, the nice thing is, you know, there's no batteries, so we're good. We're not going to short anything. As long as there's no batteries, we're good there. Okay, so we got 100 on the left, 220 on the right. Gonna move the temp up to around, we'll do 240-ish. Might have to turn it up a little bit more. Again, we just want this to fall off. Just legit fall right off. So you want to grab tweezers, there they are. And I've shown this before, but essentially, oh, yes, that blows off a little bit. Just want to use small circles. Okay, just like that. Just like that. Like I said, these are probably 2 really hard caps to take off right here, just because of their proximity to other plastic components that you don't want to remove. We don't want to melt. Yeah, this one's going to be tough. Oh, there we go, it's starting to come out. Perfect. 220 came out good. So, what we're going to do is put this back on. So we can remove that last one and just get the 2 on this side of the board out of the way. out of the way. Then let's put those two back in, and we'll move on. There we go. Remember, you don't want to force it. It should pop right up. And when it does, we're just going to turn this off for now, let it cool. Just let it cool. So as it's cooling, I like to check everything out. Doesn't look like it leaked, so that's good. And of course, we've got 220 to replace it. And we've got 100 to replace it. You're also going to want to clean it. So let's grab some of this. Again, I like to wait till things cool down. That's key, because again, you don't want, for example, you know, maybe this resistor down here got a little hot, right? You don't want that to, you know, come off when you're going ahead and cleaning the board. So that's what we're going to wait for, is to be a little bit more cool down. Just kind of moving stuff around here, moving some solder. I'm gonna clean it all anyway. All right, should be good. Put some ISO in there. And just brush it all off. So if there's anything in there, brush that down. And then of course, I'm gonna go ahead and just clean that, clean any of that drying up there. Okay. Alright, so let's start it up. We've got 2 we gotta do. Let's grab my other tweezers. Actually, I'll use the flux pen. There we go, get the flux pen in there. First thing is just to go ahead and tack the new one in. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to tack the new cap in. So there we go. That way, we can kind of go back and fill in, push down. I said so much here. It's a very tricky angle, very tricky. Ooh. Definitely starting with the hardest first, like I said. Want it to flow. There we go. And so what we want to do is go back to the other side that we just kind of tacked in and make sure that's down nice. And pushing down, make sure it's nice and flat, 2 to the board. Like I said, this spot is just not ideal situation, but that's okay. Looking good, nice and flat. Nice, just gonna ease up just a little bit. And then I may want to use a little flux too. A little more flux, I should say. There we go. I apologize, my finger in the way, there's no good way to film it. There we go. Alright, and then we've got the 100 to go right next to it. That some solder did go over to the pad already, but we can work with that. That's not a big deal at all. It's not a big deal. Definitely work with that easily. So again, I'm just going to reflux everything. Go. Put it down. And what's kind of nice is that it did, you know, like I said, kind of reflux and you know, reflow a little bit of that joint there. So I'm going to kind of use that to our advantage. And I'm just going to make sure it is in the right spot where I want it to be. Pull it, just hold it down. Go. So it's essentially tacked in place, so what we'll do is we'll get it up on this side here. We'll reheat it a little bit here. Make sure we have it where we want it. Clean it up. Yeah, flux there. Sizzle, sizzle. All right, and there we go. So far, so good. So again, we are got these two in, which again arguably are not easy. So we want to just clean up that flux, a little bit of ISO. We'll just kind of clean up around here as best you can. I mean, it's as best you can, really. And then a little bit of this. So yeah, so when you order one of these kits, if you ever decide to do this mod, I recommend just, why not doing a recap, right? It's a little bit of good insurance. You're in here anyway. There's only about 6 surface mounted caps. As long as you've got the tools to do it, I say go for it. Might as well. You got nothing to lose. Alright. Especially with like handheld like this, because although yes, this handheld did come out in the US, it just wasn't very popular. You don't know what this thing has gone through, so intense heat or intense cold, which can definitely affect the life capacitors. So why not? Yeah, there it is. I was like, usually these have these. So, if you didn't know, Neo Geo has a plastic cover over it. So you do want to take that off if you're doing some recaps. Otherwise, it could just melt. No one wants a melting Neo Geo. So again, I'm at around 240 for my temp. Not a lot of airflow here. We're looking at 5.5 out of 8 on my machine here, the 858D. Now you can make this a lot quicker if you just want. You can carefully snip off these caps as well. That is an option. But I like to just do it this way. Honestly, it's a very safe way to do it. All right, and while we're here, might as well go ahead and take off the 221 as well, or in the area. And the last one we'll have are the two 100s. We're getting close to getting that solder nice and molten. It's molten on one side. There we go. Alright. I love how it shows where easily you can tell okay, the positive is here because of how the cap is. I love that. I love that they do that. So we'll let that rest and we'll get ours ready. So we have the 220 thing right there. And then we're gonna need a 47 microfarad. Now be careful because in this pack there's a 4.7 as well. They are not the same. So make sure you do get the 47. That's big. There we go. Alright. So we are going to clean these two up. Make sure the components are good. They're not gonna move on you. Okay, looking good. Alright. Well, let's do it. Start down here. Go up there. And it is kind of interesting because when you look at the the board, there's a lot of like flux residue from SNK from their factories. So what I'm gonna do, as you can see it on the big screen at least, I'm just gonna clean that up real quick too. Well, it's on my mind. Even around the joystick. Everywhere, all this flux residue. SNK. Like the original PlayStation has some flux residue issues, but man. It's kind of a lot. Even this side to a degree. And you don't have to do this. I'm just a little OCD. It's not, you know, it's not a bad thing to do. So why not? While we got it open. You know, if we treat our Neo Geos right, they will treat us right as well. So there you go. It did take off some of the like magic marker from the factory there, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned with that kind of stuff. So some people are. So, but I'd rather just not have all that flux residue. See, look at that. Already looks better. Already looks better, huh? Look at that. Already looking better. Back to the task at hand. So, we got the 220. We can put that in first. Flux on there. This is like so open, so nice. So I can easily just tack it in. Just a little bit of solder. Here we go. Finish it up. The other side. And then we'll just clean up the joint. Now be careful if you're doing what I'm doing and you hold it, because obviously the capacitor's going to get a little hot. And they're real good. Nice and flat down. Perfect. Yeah, this one's smaller than the one we took out, so get some pad to work with here, you know? Got a little bit of pad to work with. There we go. Oh, that was not in the micro, but there it is. Nice and flat down. Nice and good. Like I said, you might notice there's a lot of pad if you're buying this kit too, and you have this revision. There are 2 revisions in Neo Geo Pocket Color motherboards. The kit you buy from console5.com covers both. That's why we're gonna have some extras in this after this build. So yeah, all right. So we'll wait to clean it all up. We'll get the last 2 100 microfarads off, and then we'll put the last 2 on. And that's it for the recap. Then we get into the screen itself, which will be good. And again, you don't have to do the recap. It's good insurance. Why not? You're in here. You're doing it. You know, these caps are a little over 20 years old, so it's not going to hurt anything, especially because, of course, Console 5 does use very high quality caps, so it is fantastic to use. I do love the PCB of the Neo Geo Pocket, though, you know? I do. It's that white on this side, it's just so clean looking. Oh, and I should mention the kit that Console 5 does go ahead and provide for the screen is the updated one, okay? So there was actually a little bit of a issue with the first revision of the screen for the, again, now this enlarged screen, but that has been since fixed, and Console 5 carries the fixed version, so I can confirm that, which is good. And there is another mod, if you don't want to cut into your Neo Geo Pocket Color, because for various reasons, definitely there's many reasons, but the yeah, so the other kit is a little bit smaller of a screen. It's been out for a while now. I do have one installed in a slim, and so yeah, that's definitely something that you can consider as well. The screen is smaller though in that particular mod. This one, it's going to have an on-screen display, which is nice after we solder in the solder points for that, and it's also full screen, so we're talking it's going to be the full screen of the original, so no compromises, which is really nice. That was definitely a complaint from a lot of people of the first mod there, which was understandable, you know, that you lost some real estate on an already small screen. So it's definitely nice that this new one has come out, is the full size, which is fantastic. It's great. Alright, so again, we're going to, as always, wait for it to cool down a little bit, so anything that may have melted in the area will go ahead and cool down as well. And then from there, we're going to clean up under those 2 pads. We'll put in the last 100 microfarad caps, and then we're ready to put the actual screen in itself. The recap is done. That's how fast it is, because again, there's only 6 on this motherboard revision. 6 SMD caps. It's worth it if you're going to do this mod, honestly, and you have the tools to do it. And like I said, you could always, you know, go ahead, a pair of flat cutters, and go ahead and get in there and cut out the old caps. But you know, here I like to do things methodically, and so that's why I use the hot air rework station. So we wouldn't cut any pads or anything like that. Okay. But no, you definitely don't need a hot air rework station for this particular mod. So if you don't want it, if you don't have it, I should say. I mean, I always recommend, you know, getting new tools. Why not? And it's a tool you're definitely going to use a lot, the hot air rework station, especially if you plan to recap a lot of consoles, as there are, you know, a number of consoles that actually use you know, SMDs. You know, there are a number that do, not all, but yeah. Yeah, you know, instead twist until pop out. Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's what you want to do is using the tinfoil, or of course you can use Kapton tape. Doesn't matter, either works. Essentially, it just helps protect you know, any of the surrounding components and also the plastic as well. Because again, in some of these caps, you know, like right down here, you know, the plastic's pretty close to some plastic parts. So as you can see here, we didn't melt anything, which is good. We don't want to melt that. So it's really, you know, like that helps protect against that. So it's definitely a good trick to use for sure. So I'm glad you like the trick. And it's just tinfoil, you know. It's got tons, it got rolls of it. So. Alright, so it should be cooled down enough by now. A little isopropyl alcohol to clean up under the pads. Again, even if you don't see anything under the pads, definitely clean, because you never know. Again, there could be, you know, a little bit of electrolytic fluid that come out. And the last thing you want is to go ahead and just put a new cap over it, and it'll still eat through the board. So definitely, if you're already doing it, then just take that one little extra step. Alright, and we have the last two we're going to put on, and we're ready to check out this screen mod. So like I said, it's the first time doing the full screen mod here, so we'll see how it goes. Put the old caps off to the side, get some flex in there, and then, as always, we're just going to go ahead and tack it in, then finish the process. There we go. And then I like to press down. You could do it with, you know, tweezers, because again the capacitor is going to get hot, but I like to press down to make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. That guy is in place. We just have like a teeny bit more solid. There we go. Make sure it flows underneath a little bit. And then the last cap. Oops. Drop my water. That's okay. We live to tell the tale. Alright. Yeah, it's one of those situations where having a big old camera in your way makes it just harder than it should be. That's okay. Move. There we go. Just tacking it in. And again, especially with boards like this, just move them. You know, don't work harder than you need to. Just go ahead and move them. in order to get to some trickier spots if we need to. Sizzle, sizzle. Now we're going to clean up that spot that we went ahead and tacked in. There you go. We are recapped. So now what we're going to do is clean the board. Again, we cleaned off SNK's flux. Now we're going to clean off our flux, which is important, honestly. You don't, even though this is no clean flux, there is definitely residue. So you want to make sure you get rid of that residue. So yes, always be careful when it says no clean flux, because you still have to clean it. Okay, it's good flux, great flux, but you still gotta clean it. A little bit of ice, purple alcohol, again at least 91% or more. Again, less water in there, the better. But of course, the less water in there, the faster it dries as well. Alright, so I am happy to say that Luke at Console 5 Gaming is carrying the larger, larger screens for this mod. Now, what I'm going to say right away is that first, getting it from Luke, make sure that you get, there we go, yeah, tighten it, make that a little bit more flush. It actually gives you a 3D printed part, which is actually really cool to line up the screen. That's something that if you order from, AliExpress or from, another reseller, you're not going to get that. And so it's really nice that he includes that in the kit. Plus, you can get the capacitors at the same time, so it's just one shot. You just get everything you need. So it actually, I think, is best to just get it from Console 5, especially if you're in the States, because the shipping is, well, it's nice and fast. So I'm just putting the old plastic on. That's all. The old plastic that we took off while we were cleaning and taking off all the capacitors. So there you go. This goes right back on. Alright, so unfortunately, like I said, this one was already modded with a front screen mod, so it was already cut. Otherwise, you do have to cut the actual case itself. So in one way, it is what it is. I definitely recommend getting like an aftermarket case and cutting that. But like I said, this one was modded years ago with a front light mod, so it was already cut. So you're not putting the plastic back at this point. So here is the entire kit there, and then like I said, he has a 3D printed part, which is this right here. Now this I want to check out. Like I said, I haven't opened this yet. It's the first time I'm looking at it too. As I'm assuming, it might be in backwards. I'm assuming, yeah, there we go. It's gonna go in here. Oh, see, so that's nice. Again, it would fit normally. There are sides, but obviously this was cut, so there are no sides. So I just want to do like a pre-fit. I believe these have to be cut. These little two knobs at the top that I showed at the beginning of the video, I believe those have to be cut, so again, just bear that in mind. There we go. New glass, although I'm going to keep the original on. It's in really good shape. There's the driver board itself. And then, of course, here is the new screen. Yeah, see, it definitely looks like you're going to have to... Yeah, there's no way around it. You definitely got to cut those two at the top. Okay. Not a problem at all. Get a pair of side cutters and snip them off. Like I said, at this point, case is already cut. So if you're... I do recommend if you want to get an aftermarket case, there's some cool ones out there. Again, get from AliExpress or something like that, and then you cut that, it's no big deal. Here, I hate cutting original plastic, but like I said, the original plastic has already been cut. So there you go, just taking the flat cutters, putting one cut all the way down, and then one like this, That'll get out of there nice and clean. So there you go. Now if your kit wasn't already cut, you'd also have to cut the bottom, which is already cut in this particular case right down here. So normally, this fits really good. It really does. Wow. So just to even show you here, normally there would be some sort of plastic here you'd have to cut, and you would not cut the sides. However, the previous mod required you to, so bear that in mind. You would not cut the sides, so do know that. All right, so what we're going to do too is, before we even get into putting in the screen and all that, is that there is an opportunity to go ahead and have an on-screen display with a little bit of soldering. So let's do that now, as of course that will allow you can change the brightness, and I hear even scan lines. Again, I haven't seen it, but that's what I hear. That's pretty exciting. I like that. So let's take a peek at what we have to do. Alrighty. So because these are just signal wires, again, nothing that's no video signals whatsoever, or any power or ground, you can use what they call Kynar wire, and it actually comes in the kit, which is even more convenient. You're going to be soldering onto this side here, where these pads are, and these pads are going to go to onto the screen. Not on the screen, on the screen driver, I should specify. So that's what we're going to do. Again, we have to go ahead and solder. Altogether, it looks like around 4 different wires. So we've got some flex on our pads there. The nice thing is that, normally I would say, hey, take out your fiberglass pen and scrape it a little bit, the vias. These look like they're alright. You don't have to do that, but you could if you wanted to. Alrighty. And so it looks like it's these top 3 right here. Boom, boom, and boom. Try that again so you can see. So this is B, this is A, and right here is select. So what we'll do is first, I'm going to turn the board. We'll add some solder to these points. And then we'll go ahead and solder it in.
Doesn't look like you'd ever catch fire.
So we'll solder the wires first, and then from there, go ahead. Actually, I want to cut this down further. It's kind of long, they give us for just a short pad. Yeah, they're already pre-stripped, by the way. So it's definitely beginner friendly too. So if you are like, I'm not too great at soldering, or you're not too comfortable, first, you don't have to do this part. This is completely optional. You can use the copper pads that are on the actual driver board, and you'll see them. And that from there you can change all the different options if you wanted. However, what this nets you, it's a little bit of soldering, is of course an on-screen display. Which I personally like. I love on-screen displays. So it's going to be a lot cleaner overall with an on-screen display. I may not even use those copper pads. And the reason why is because there are times in other consoles that have them that I hit them by complete accident and I change my color while I'm playing, and I have to scroll through, and that's no bueno. With an OSD like this, an on-screen display, you don't have to worry about that. So why even bother having the the pads? So I might just take it off. Okay, and then the fourth wire is going to be the battery, which is right down here, right in that corner. Can't miss that. So let me grab my soldering pen. It's right in front of my face. Add some solder. There we go. Turn that down a bit. And there we go. Alright, I'm just going to clean up these joints a little bit. You don't need to do this, but sometimes just adding a little bit of flux, just clean them up a bit. If you watched the channel before, I get a little OCD sometimes with my solder joints.
Get some on your clothes. You smell weird for weeks.
Okay. So this is going to go to the board on the other side. So let's clean it up, and then after that, we're going to go ahead and probably try to see if we can line the wires together. So it's a neat crossover from the, to the other side of the board. Similar to, I mean, it's Kynar wire. So one great thing to do is you can kind of like how if you've ever seen a PS2 mod chip or anything, you can go ahead and essentially, super glue them together so nice and tight, and they have one run to the other side of the board. So first we're just gonna kind of see where everything's at, see what we're working with, even see how the board itself is gonna fit, and where the solder joints are as well. Alrighty. So looking at this. Okay. Right here is where they're all going to go. So you got select AB battery. Okay. So again, I don't, that's the only 4 that you need. You don't need, it doesn't look like the ground is, yeah, the ground's not connected. So, that's going to be fine there. I'm going to desolder these 2 copper pads. Again, you can see where they are. They're here and here. And for me, I don't want to use them. I don't want to touch them. I'd rather bring up the on-screen display, for sure. So, I personally am just gonna, that way I don't touch them by accident during gameplay. And again, I could always put them back on if I'm like, oh, I don't like using this OSD. So, I always touch them by accident. I really do. It's the worst. On my Wonder Swan especially. Let's put those off to the side for now. So, what they also include before we go ahead and we put the, we solder these in and all that is like these insulating type stickers. So this says install this insulating sticker on the back of the screen, paste this insulating film on the PCB. So actually, no, let's solder it up first. Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll go from there. So I'm assuming to get this all folded up, we're going to be, yeah, definitely. It's going to be like essentially like so, and then I'm assuming it's going to do another bend back down. So, oh yeah, it's definitely a twist in it. Here we go. For now, I'll just go ahead and we'll solder up these pads here. Get some fresh solder on them. Get enough more we're going to use. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then believe this was B. So just kind of make sure you match them all up. Especially because they only give you red. You could color code it, but should be fine. Should be good. Now I didn't trim these down. You could trim them down, I bet too. But like I said, I'm probably gonna be doing like a run. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at. It's easy enough to desolder if need be. So we can definitely desolder it and work around it. We need to. Alright, next we got B. We got A. And then we got select. There you go. So now, to avoid any screw holes, how do I want to run these? Looks like going over the side would be the best option. Something along the lines like this, as you can see on the big camera, might be the best option. So let's start to, go through this here with the attaching of this and the metal surface on the back of the screen. Very great idea. And all it is a big old sticker, so just line it up, plop it on. It's kind of interesting they don't put this one on already. Whoever makes the screen, but whatever, it takes 2 seconds. There we go. On the back of the screen. Bam. Like I said, I'm not going to use the new glass. Let's make sure we're all good. These buttons. Let's make sure they're nice and clean. Now's a good time. So you get the nice purple alcohol out, you get the brush out. If you think you need to clean a little bit, then you go ahead and do that. Clean these up. This could use a little TLC, Clean up the buttons a bit to get a little crud on them too. I think a nice purple alcohol even for the membranes, totally fine. I'm just lightly brushing, so if there's anything that is a little bit, it'll come right out. A little force, then it'll come right out. And then I'm going to dry it immediately, and immediately drop it too. There it is. Then dry it immediately, so it'll just get nice and good for when we put this together. Be careful, obviously you don't want to tear any of the membranes, but give them a nice scrub. It's a balance, if you will. Definitely see the corners here. And with the buttons, it's always good to go kind of on the sides a little bit. Because a lot of that is on the shell too, back and forth, you know, being pushed down. So, go a little bit on the sides there with that one. And then do this too. There you go, cleaning the button membranes. Okay, all right, so let's see the shell itself. How are those? Yeah, that could use a little bit of a scrub, not a big deal. Okay. Yeah, the shell itself looks really good. I don't think that's going to need any... I think that's going to be good. That's not going to need any scrub in there. At least from what I can see, it doesn't look like it's going to need that. What about the joystick? Oh, little joystick. Let me get it out. There we go. Alright, now we're going to clean the glass. That way we'll be able to go ahead and put the screen in. So just wipe it down for now. There we go. The screen is going to go like so. Okay. So you can even see how the piece from console 5 is going to help keep it really in there nice. Especially with this one where, unfortunately, like I said before, it had been modded before. So it's actually a really good thing that we got the 3D print with it. You know, it's a really good thing. Okay, so that's in there. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put this in here. And then, like I said, we're gonna still work around, you know, screw holes, you know, button pads, etc. Because that's what's gonna keep coming up. Is that like, okay, when we pull these over, are they gonna be, you know, we don't want it to be caught with any screw holes. We don't want it caught with any pads. We want plenty of room. There we go. I'm going to use the capacitors even to kind of go ahead and make sure they're just out of the way. Okay, and it looks like if I'm not mistaken, this is going to go up. Okay, so this is going to be here. I'm just test fitting again at the moment. Very interesting design. Because again, what I'm thinking is if this is up like this. Yeah, because this is in the right way. Essentially, what you want is this to be like right here. So then, oh, okay. So then there is going to be a little bit of a fold in that, in the flex cable. So yeah, it is a puzzle. It is a puzzle. So what it's looking like is probably the best way, and I'll put this on now. The paste this insulating film on the PCB. So we'll go ahead. Put this on. Yes, it is supposed to be this side. Although theoretically you could put it on the other side, but essentially it's just to insulate that. So it looks like, here we go. You can see it up there. Not gonna be able to do it over the microscope. Sorry. It's just, this is gonna fold like this. And it should. Line it up. There we go. Should just kind of go right in there. It's actually, it is. And then it looks like we're gonna have to almost like accordion fold that that flex cable a little bit. Yeah, the camera, I must have bumped it at some point. No. So again, that's gonna kind of, yeah, kind of like that. And again, I am no means done. I'm gonna go ahead and go back and move these wires. Like I said, I think I had a bit of glue somewhere around here. Oh, yeah, right here. Use that. Okay, and then that would go in there. Okay, so it does kind of fold it like this. Kind of naturally folds it almost. But yeah, cool. So now real quick, I can take off the... you can go ahead and I believe there is some sort of adhesive to stick the actual screen in place. However, I have had horrible luck with any types of adhesives. With how this board fits, you should be able to go ahead and pressure fit this no problem at all. And we'll see if that works. Again, my biggest thing is making sure the wires themselves are not going over the pads. So I wish you could see it. It's going to be, obviously it's going to be really hard to see. So I don't want it to go over the pads. In fact, I want to move them up a little bit because I want to make sure it doesn't go over any pads. Maybe, yeah. Probably one of the trickiest things with the OSD. Let's see if... Yeah, with handhelds, you are right, it is always a bit of a puzzle. Then you put it all together and you realize you forgot a screw, right? That's handhelds for you. So let's go up this way on the board. That way we're completely away from the pads. In case we're gonna have some extra wire, but that's okay. That's okay. The reality is we can go back and clean this up. How's this gonna fare? See, I really wanted to use one of these, but they're so close to the other pads. I don't know if that's gonna reach all the way to the bottom either. By the way, there are no instructions to this kit. At least that come with it. But nevertheless. Well, I almost wanted to go back to the original way. Almost do. Because the original way is pretty darn close to having nothing in the way. So again, clean, 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 clean. Let's go ahead, put that down. It is actually a little bit harder because it doesn't have the sides like it's supposed to. And let's put it under the capacitor. Feel it's on the capacitor. I know this probably isn't great stream material, but just trying to get it all set. Yeah, still near the rubber membrane. Well, at least too close, I would say, than I want it to be. And of course, at the top is the button 2, the option button. Which granted isn't used often, but still. If I can avoid all buttons, it'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'll have this run towards the bottom. That's easy, boom, that can be done. Right from here. So I have the battery one, I'm going to be running that at the bottom there. These ones, I'm going to be running it towards the top. I'm going to actually put it between the two buttons, and that should work. And it gives a space so it doesn't get pinched. At least we're hoping it doesn't get pinched. Make sure everything's still lined up. Let's see, once we start to put screws in, let's see how this goes. Alright, let's see it. Let's see how this, once we put these screws in, see how we do this, see how it goes. And then don't forget, we do have to solder back in, before we close it up, the speaker. Otherwise you won't get any sound. You definitely want sound. You want them sick beats. Sick beats from the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Sick beats. Yeah, I really do. I really do enjoy this system. It's really a good system. Okay. It seems like they're still in place, but still seem like they're good. So I think we're going to be in good shape with that. So the front look looks good. So the nice thing about the Neo Geo is we can go ahead and try it out without putting on the back screws pretty easily. I might do like a little super glue or something there to keep that in place. Alright, to try it out, all you gotta do is put the back on, put the batteries in, and let's see if this baby works. Fingers crossed. Hey, look at that. Obviously we don't have sound right now at the moment, but nice, it looks good. So, yeah, there we go. There's the on-screen menu. Look at that. Let's see if you can see it. The brightness is really down right now. Let me adjust the brightness. Hold on, so how do you adjust the brightness then? How do you use the on-screen menu? Do you need the copper pads, I wonder? I wonder if you need the copper pads to go left and right. I really didn't want to use those copper pads. I always touch them by accident. Maybe that's what it does on the menu now that I'm looking, right? So as you can see, right, so I'll pop back up. It's hard to see because again the brightness is at 2 out of 20 right now. But this moves up and down. An option I would think would be like enter, but it's not working. So I think we're putting those pads back on. And we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna open it up anyways, right? We gotta put the speaker back in. But I really don't want to put those pads on. Oh well. It is what it is. I definitely moved it that time. Womp womp womp. I really didn't want to use them pads. Really didn't want to use them pads. But it looks like that's probably how you go left and right on it. Because again, the OSD, you have really 3 buttons you can use, right? You have this one's broken. You have A, B, and select. So if you can't use left and right, they must rely on the pads to go left and right. Oh well. Like I said, not at all a big deal. But just like, I didn't want to use those pads. Soldering iron's still on, man. It's all good. There we go. Bet you that's what it is too. Man. But I didn't want to use these pads. Just soldering them on real quick. Man, they left so much, like, I'm gonna solder these on better than the factory did, man. These things have so much stripped off you do not need. Well, there you go. If you do this, learn from my mistake. You need the pads. Really hoping you didn't, though. I was like, really hoping you didn't. You know, the fact is I don't like capacitive buttons on anything. No, it's capacitive touch. So, you know, as long as it's near the shell, it'll register. So, yeah. So what you do is you essentially go ahead and you put it up at the top. So you put it like between here, for example. like, put it, take off the little sticker there, and you stick it to the shell. And when you touch the shell, it goes back and forth. Just really hoping I didn't have to have these. Just really didn't want to have them. Just really didn't, but not a big deal. And when you think on-screen display, you think, hey man, that's all you need are the button combos. But nope. So that's all you do. You peel off the sticker on the back, and then you just put it into place. Usually tweezers works well. So I'm going to put it on either side of the screen, so I'll know where they are. Make sure the wire's pulled in. Alright. Did not want to use that, but oh well. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's between the buttons. So nothing gets messed up there. Put this in place. Screw it back together. That's what that is. I'm not gonna solder the speaker back on just yet, just in case, I flip it over and there's an issue or something like that. So, I don't have to solder and then desolder if there's an issue. It takes 2 seconds to solder back in the speaker anyway. So, all right. Now let's see. See if it is the pads. I bet you that's what you need to go back and forth. I think these batteries are dying too, but oh well. Get us through. Get us through. Okay, let's bring up the on-screen display. There we go. Yay, look at that. See? Use the capacitance pads, and there it is. It's going up. And it's changing the colors. So if you do the button combo, which is option A and B, brings it up. If you look, you can just hit the pad and it'll increase the number. So you gotta have that pad. You can adjust the H and V sync. You get the pixel effect. That's pretty cool. Battery display. Does look really clear. And there you go. We are in it to win it. We are done. Alright, and it looks great. It looks great. Obviously, my fingerprints are all over the screen now. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go take it apart and put back on the... okay, the OSD just disappears. So go ahead and put back on the actual speaker so we have some sound to go with it. It's hard to put on the camera. It's hard to see. Maybe if I turn off, but it is very clear. If it wants to focus. It's very sharp, very clear. And again, I love that it takes up the whole real estate of the screen. So what I mean by that, right? So here's this one, right? So you can see it. What I mean by that, and again, seeing it in person, it's way better. This is my Slim, that has the old mod on it. Now the old mod is the one that has the, a lot of the screen real estate taken up. See, it's reduced. So there's actually like a 3D print that's in here. So we go ahead and put it up. You can see how much smaller the screen is. It's a lot smaller. So now this new mod, the screen is going to be significantly bigger. And, I think, at least right now, it looks a little brighter, the new screen as well. It's fantastic. So, definitely an upgrade. Play some Metal Slug in a second, once we solder back on that speaker and put the joystick back in and all that good stuff. And then what I like to do, which while I've got it open, is I always like to do a, with a little capped on tape, put when it was recapped. A lot of times it's a mystery, or you don't know if it's been recapped or not. So I like to do that. Let me grab a marker real quick, and I'll show you. Well, bam. So what I do is I grab a little capped on tape, and then I literally write on it. We're gonna do, put it this way. Recapped, and it is called the Super OSD screen. What's today's date? 13th? Unlucky number 13. 3/13/2021. So it's probably hard to pick up on camera, but there you go. And all you gotta do with that, it's on capped on tape. So again, it's not conductive at all. Is to go ahead, take the scissors, peel it up, cut it. So there you go. Says it all on there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it right here on the cartridge connector. Well, behind the cartridge connector, I should say. So there you go, my horrible handwriting. So there you go. Now, there's no guesswork like, oh man, was this it's been recapped? Absolutely. Says it. Check it out. Make sure the buttons are free. Yep. Nothing behind the screen. Nope, it's on the front. So we'll end up cleaning up after. So let's go ahead. Let's put this speaker back on. And that's it. Then we're play some Metal Slug. Enjoy life. There we go. It is negative on the bottom. It's positive on the top. There we go. Very nice, very nice. So let's, get the super glue here. So what I'm going to do is something that is back from the old PS2 days, I'm not going to lie. We used to do PS2 mods with Kiner wire, and we still, I still do. But with this, it's a, you don't do it as much now. Free McBoot is awesome, and a lot of people use that, which is great. But this is kind of like the stuff we used to do, where you take the Kiner wire, put it together like so it's nice and essentially nice and grouped up like that. And then you just take a little bit of, like, the smallest bit of super glue. There you go. And you just right over the wires. And what does that do? It just keeps them nice and tight together. Make sure they're pushed together real nice. Like, take some tweezers. You know, it's not going to, if you do it well, if you do it good and tight, it's not going to super glue to the motherboard or anything, just to each other. So it gives a nice run. Again, not that anyone's going to probably be opening up this Neo Geo Pocket anytime soon, but it just gives that premium look. Apologize if you're looking at my hand under the microscope, by the way. You just squeeze it together, squeeze it together. And there you go. See, it looks a lot sleeker. So you can sort of see, probably see better up here. Oh, I have the light still turned off. Oh no. But yeah, as you can see, just gonna make it look nice and sleek right there. Again, it's not covering that hole right there, which actually underneath it looks like it might be. Let's move that out of the way then. Not sure if any screw hole goes in there, but again, we don't want to have any screw holes covered. Yeah, it looks like it might. So let's lift this up. Let's just move that a little bit. So, again, so it's not touching the buttons and it's not going near a screw hole. There we go. Make sure. So I'm just gonna take my tweezers and just make sure that this is nice and going around the post. There we go. Still not going over the buttons. Check. Going around the post. And the nice thing about Kynar is that it's very flexible. It's going to go where you want it to go, which is good. So we'll even move this up here a little bit. Get our screws back into place. Again, it's still looking. It doesn't look like there's any doesn't look like it's blocking any screw holes still, so that's good. Put this back in. There we go. So I'm wondering, I was like, what's going on there? Why isn't it flat? I clicked into the stud there. Alright, so looks like we're clear of that hole. We've got the wires running nice and neat up to the top. Buttons are good. Nothing's in the way. Don't look like there's any dirt behind the screen, but you really can't tell till after you're done. Ooh, I could put a little drop of super glue there. nice and tight all the way up. There we go. Remember, when I'm putting the super glue, it's just on the wires and just to keep them together. You don't have to do this, but again, it just kind of helps keep it nice and neat looking, so you don't have like scraggly wires going towards the other side of the board. You just have nice, flat, well, these 3 wires. And again, this is what you'll see a lot of times on PS2 mods as well, where they're nice, they're close together. So if you ever see that and you're like, wow, how do they get those wires to stay like that? Just a little bit of super glue, and what that does is just make it into like one bunch there, one bunch of wires. Make sure it's away from the screw hole. So there we go. As we're gonna start putting stuff back together, we get that back in. We've got it saying boom when we recapped it. Let's go ahead. Everything should still be working, so let's start to put the screws back. Then we will be done. Then we'll play a little Metal Slug. Good. I do love Metal Slug on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. The Metal Slug 1 and 2 on here are really good. 2's its own standalone game, which is fantastic. So highly, if you're thinking about what game should I play, definitely good ones to consider right there. As I'm wearing Marco on my shirt from Metal Slug, so I guess I'm a little biased. But I think those are fantastic games for the Neo Geo Pocket Color and the Neo Geo period. Just Neo Geo period. It's a fantastic system. If you haven't really explored it, definitely go ahead and do it. It's really good. You won't regret it. It is expensive, but again, there's ways around it, with emulation if you just want to try it out. And if it's something you really enjoy, then, maybe consider getting a board or something like that. One of the easiest ways to get into Neo Geo is to really start with the MVS, as those boards are a lot cheaper than an AES. And you can use a super gun or you can consoleize it. Actually, the last stream we did, the Open MVS, we put one together from start to finish, which is, a fantastic open source project. But yeah, we did one from start to finish, including taking off all unnecessary caps and stuff like we didn't need. And yeah, so definitely a great option as well. I love the Neo Geo. It's fantastic. Oh, there it is. It's like we had a joystick when we started the stream. There it is. Alright. I will say the outside of the case is in good shape. It's all back together. Look at that, huh? Oh my goodness. Looks so good. Volume? Maybe it's the volume. Let me put the card in. So this is actually the multi-cart Neo Geo Pocket SD, which I believe is now like the game drive or something, but I've had it for a while. So yeah. So we didn't replace the glass. We didn't have to. This glass is in good shape. It just needs a little bit of a cleaning now. But look at this. Look at this. It is very clear. It's not going to come up on the stream, and I apologize. So it looks like 10 presses if you don't use the OSD. It brings you to the brightest it is. I already said set date time. You can already tell it's a lot brighter than the other one. And again, it's fantastic just how clear it is and how big it is. That's what I like. is that you don't lose the size of it. That's awesome. Look at that, it looks so good. I've got the pixel effect on, is what it's called. I'm gonna keep that on because it does remind me of the original screen a little bit, where it's hard to, again, see on stream. But again, if you're not already, follow me on Twitter, because I always post the after, like when everything's all done. And definitely I can get a better photo of it there than here on the stream. But here we are, you know, we got a little bit of, there it is. Metal Slug. Perfect, perfect. Alrighty, so thank you for joining me along this ride. Again, the only reason why it took 2 hours was we're kind of figuring out little by little, and of course we did a recap and cleaned up the board and everything else. But thank you for joining, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Alright? Have a great one. Oh, and I should mention, follow on Twitter so you can see like what it looks like in the end. I'll also pin it in the comments. I've been doing that too, so I'll pin the tweet in the comments so you can see it all clear and stuff like that. So